I never thought I'd see the day where my own family would go online to try and destroy my name. But that's exactly what happened. My brother squandered all of his savings, expected me to pay his rent, and when I refused, he and my mother went on Facebook and publicly accused me of abandoning family. The lies spread like wildfire. People I hadn't spoken to in years were messaging me, shaming me, treating me like I was some heartless monster. But what they didn't know was that I wasn't going to take it lying down. I hired a lawyer, prepared to sue them for defamation, and that's when we uncovered a betrayal so deep, it changed my life forever. If you've ever been stabbed in the back by people who should have had your back, hit that like button and stick around, because this is one of the most satisfying revenge stories you'll ever hear. So let me take you back to where it started. My brother and I were never close, but we were family. He was always the kind of person who believed life owed him something. While I worked 2 jobs to pay for school and build a stable future, he blew through his money like water. Expensive sneakers, new gadgets, eating out every night, his paycheck was gone before the month even started. I used to warn him, tell him to think long-term, but he'd laugh it off and say, relax, money comes and goes. Well, for him it always went. Then came the phone call that set everything in motion. He told me his rent was due, and he didn't have the money. He said it casually, almost like he was asking me to grab milk on the way home. He expected me to cover it, just like that. I asked him what happened to all the money he'd been making. He dodged the question, gave me excuses about unexpected bills, bad luck, this and that. But I knew the truth, he had wasted it all. When I told him I couldn't and wouldn't pay his rent, his voice snapped cold. Your family, you're supposed to help. And when I told him that family doesn't mean being his personal bank, he hung up on me. I thought that was the end of it. I thought maybe he'd be angry for a while, then move on. But a few days later, I started getting texts. Friends, relatives, even coworkers were asking why I was abandoning my own brother. Some messages were sympathetic, others downright cruel. I didn't understand what was happening until someone sent me a screenshot of my mother's Facebook post. There it was, in black and white, for hundreds of people to see. My mother had written a long, dramatic post about how her son, that's me, had turned his back on family, how I was selfish, heartless, and only cared about money. She painted my brother as some tragic victim of hard times, struggling just to survive, while I sat comfortably with plenty to spare but no compassion. And then came the comments. People piling on, agreeing with her, calling me cold, greedy, even evil. My brother chimed in too, confirming her story, adding his own flavor to it, making himself look like a martyr. I was furious. My hands shook as I read their words. My chest felt tight, my throat burned. It wasn't just the lies, it was the fact that my own mother had chosen to side with him, to publicly trash me without even asking for my side. For days, I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with my jaw clenched so hard it hurt. At work, I'd find myself staring at my computer screen, unable to focus, because in the back of my mind was this storm of anger and betrayal. And the worst part, a part of me wanted to cave in. To just pay my brother's rent and make it all go away. That's how much power their lies had over me. But then something inside me hardened. No more. I wasn't going to let them walk all over me. I wasn't going to let their smear campaign define me. That's when I called a lawyer. At first, my lawyer thought it would be straightforward, just a defamation suit. My mother and brother had made false claims that hurt my reputation, and we had proof, screenshots, witnesses, everything. But as we dug deeper, something darker surfaced. Financial records, strange transfers. My brother wasn't just broke, he had been funneling money out of an account that wasn't his. An account with my mother's name on it, but tied to funds meant for my late father's estate. Funds that were supposed to be shared fairly between us. It hit me like a punch to the gut. Not only had they trashed me publicly, but they had been stealing from me behind my back. My mother knew. She had let it happen. She had enabled it. Suddenly, everything made sense. The desperation, the pressure, the need to paint me as the villain. They were covering their tracks, trying to destroy my credibility before I discovered the truth. That was my breaking point. That was when anger turned into determination. I wasn't just suing for defamation anymore. I was going to expose them for the thieves and liars they were. The day of the court hearing, I walked in with my lawyer by my side, every document neatly organized, every piece of evidence ready. My brother sat there looking smug, like he thought the judge would see me as the cold sibling who abandoned him. My mother avoided my eyes, her face a mask of forced sadness. But when my lawyer began presenting the evidence, the posts, the messages, the bank records, their expressions began to crack. First confusion, then fear. My brother shifted in his seat, fidgeting. My mother's lips pressed into a thin line. And when the judge asked them to explain the transfers, they had nothing. No excuses, no explanations. Just silence. The room felt electric. My heart pounded in my ears, but for the first time in months, it wasn't from fear or anger, it was from triumph. Justice was unfolding right in front of me. The same people who had tried to destroy my name were now being exposed for who they really were. In the end, the ruling went in my favor. They were ordered to retract their statements publicly, to issue a written apology, and to pay restitution for the money they had stolen. Watching my brother's face as the judgment was read was a moment I'll never forget. The arrogance drained out of him, replaced by shock and humiliation. My mother's eyes stayed fixed on the floor, as if she couldn't bear to look at me. Walking out of that courtroom, I felt lighter than I had in years. The weight of betrayal was still there, but it no longer crushed me. I had stood my ground. I had defended my name. And I had shown them that their lies couldn't break me. Sometimes the deepest betrayals come from the people you thought you could trust most. And sometimes, standing up for yourself isn't just about protecting your reputation, it's about reclaiming your dignity. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell us in the comments, what's the worst betrayal you've seen in your family? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, because trust me, you don't want to miss the next one.